Have you ever woken up in the morning, stepped out of bed, and felt like your legs had turned to stone? No bump, no ill injury, yet the aching, swelling, and stiffness just won't go away. It creeps in quietly, day after day. What's confusing is, you eat well, you exercise regularly, you even include eggs in your diet, a food praised for its protein and senior-friendly benefits. So why the leg pain? Why the swollen joints? Why does every morning feel like a new battle? Turns out, the problem isn't the eggs, it's what you're eating with them. Some combinations that seem totally harmless can actually trigger inflammation, worsen joint pain, speed up cartilage breakdown, and even damage nerves over time. And the scariest part? These combinations show up in the most common meal of the day, breakfast, for millions of older adults. In this video, I'll show you 6 everyday foods that seniors should never pair with eggs, plus the surprising reasons why these combos may be doing more harm than you think. If you find this video helpful, type the number 1 in the comments so I know I'm on the right track. If not, just type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Now let's get into it. 1. Processed meats. Bacon, sausage, ham. For many older Americans, the smell of sizzling bacon in the morning is more than just breakfast. It's a memory, a ritual, woven into decades of comfort and routine. Eggs with a side of sausage or ham might have been your go-to start to the day, something you've prepared on autopilot, believing it nourished both body and soul. But what if that very combination, so familiar and beloved, is quietly fueling the pain in your legs, the swelling in your knees, and the stiffness that greets you every morning? Processed meats like bacon, sausage, and ham are packed with sodium nitrates, artificial preservatives, and saturated fats. For a younger body, these compounds may already be problematic, but after 60, our ability to break them down and eliminate them begins to fade. What happens then is subtle but steady. Inflammation builds up deep in the body, particularly in the joints and muscles of the lower half, areas where circulation is already compromised with age. The result isn't immediate. It sneaks up through sore knees, tight calves, or that strange feeling of heaviness in your legs after breakfast. And while you might not think twice about it, your morning routine may be quietly setting off a chain reaction you can feel for hours. Now add eggs to the mix. On their own, eggs are undeniably rich in protein and vital nutrients. But when eaten alongside processed meats, they create a dangerous biochemical pairing. Eggs contain sulfur compounds, and when these interact with the nitrates in bacon or sausage, they can spike levels of uric acid in the bloodstream. High uric acid is a known culprit behind gout-like symptoms, pain, redness, swelling, especially in the joints of the feet and knees. Many older adults experience these flare-ups without understanding what's triggering them. They chalk it up to just getting older, unaware that breakfast might be doing more harm than help. But it's not just the pain. Over time, this silent inflammation chips away at your mobility, your balance, and most importantly, your independence. It's not only about sore legs. It's about the feeling of being held back, of needing a handrail to stand, or dreading the stairs in your own home. It's about the quiet frustration that grows when you realize that something as simple as walking to the mailbox feels like a challenge. And here's the hardest part. Many of us are unknowingly creating this struggle with the very foods we trust the most. So the next time you hear that comforting sizzle of bacon or reach for that classic breakfast plate, take a moment and ask yourself, is 5 minutes of flavor worth the flare-up that may last all day? Because once you feel it, it's hard to unfeel. And what about that innocent slice of toast or bagel you've been pairing with your eggs for years? That too may be adding fuel to the fire, especially if it's made with refined flour, lacking fiber and spiking your blood sugar before the day has even begun. If you're still here and this message is speaking to you, I'd love to know. Just type the number 1 in the comments below. It lets me know you're listening, you care, and you want more insights like this, made just for you. Let's move on to point number 2. 2. Refined carbohydrates. White bread, bagels, muffins. There's something deeply comforting about a warm piece of toast, a buttered bagel, a soft muffin beside your morning eggs. For many of us, these are more than just breakfast foods. They're symbols of home, simplicity, and routine. But as we age, it's important to pause and ask, what is this food doing to my body? especially to my legs, my joints, and my energy. Refined carbohydrates like white bread, bagels, and muffins are stripped of their natural fiber and nutrients. Once digested, they quickly turn into sugar, causing sharp spikes in blood glucose levels. These spikes may feel harmless at first, but to your immune system, they're an alarm bell. Inflammatory messengers are released in response, trying to protect you. But over time, they wear down the soft tissue in your joints, especially in areas that carry your weight, like your knees, ankles, and feet. For older adults whose circulation and metabolism have naturally slowed, these sugar swings become even more dangerous. Inflammation settles into the lower body, turning movement into a chore. Walking becomes effortful. Stairs feel steeper. And what once felt like tiredness now reveals itself as chronic pain. Worse still, when you combine those refined carbs with eggs, a dense source of protein and fat, your digestion slows even more. This allows inflammation to fester in the gut and travel through your bloodstream, often targeting joints that are already weak or arthritic. So while it may feel harmless to enjoy that fluffy slice of toast with your scrambled eggs, it may quietly be the reason your legs feel stiff in the morning, or why your feet swell by the evening. The pain that seems to come from nowhere might be coming from your plate. 3. Cheese, especially processed or melted cheese. There's something undeniably satisfying about a warm, cheesy omelet or scrambled eggs topped with melted cheese. For many older adults, cheese has been a lifelong comfort. Creamy, familiar, and rich. But what most don't realize is that this seemingly innocent addition could be silently fueling the pain and stiffness they wake up with every morning. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to inflammation. And unfortunately, the types of cheese most commonly used at breakfast, especially processed or melted varieties, are loaded with ingredients that make things worse. They're high in saturated fats, filled with additives, and contain a milk protein called casein, which can trigger inflammation in people over 60, particularly those with weakened digestion. Our gut becomes less efficient with time. Foods that were once easy to process now move slower, sit heavier, and signal distress throughout the body. When you combine cheese with eggs, both rich and dense, you create a meal that's tough to digest and prone to triggering inflammation. The result is often stiffness in the knees, aching calves, or swollen ankles. Symptoms that show up after eating or first thing in the morning. But the real cost isn't just physical. When your body hurts, your confidence starts to slip. You begin avoiding movement, second-guessing your steps, and shrinking your world. Even small joys like gardening, visiting neighbors, or walking to the mailbox start to feel like challenges. And what makes it even more frustrating is knowing that the culprit may have been right on your breakfast plate all along, hidden beneath a layer of warm, melted comfort. But cheese isn't the only quiet saboteur. Some vegetables, the very ones we've trusted for years, may also be adding to your pain. Curious which ones could be making your joints worse, even though they're labeled healthy? Let's take a closer look. And if you found these insights helpful so far, just type the number 1 in the comments below. It tells me you're still here, still learning, and still committed to staying strong and independent. The 4. Nightshade vegetables, tomatoes, peppers, potatoes. For most of our lives, we've been taught that vegetables are always good for us. And in many ways, that's true. But as we age, especially for those struggling with joint pain or stiffness, not all vegetables are as harmless as they seem. Take nightshades, for example. You know them well. Tomatoes, bell peppers, eggplants, and potatoes. These colorful staples often show up in breakfast, tossed into an omelet, or served on the side. But for many older adults, these vibrant foods may be quietly making things worse. Nightshades contain a natural compound called solanine. In certain people, especially those over 60, it can disrupt nerve signals and trigger inflammation. The problem is, our ability to flush out irritating substances like this declines with age. If your liver or kidneys aren't working as efficiently as they once did, solanine can build up, irritate soft tissue, and cause swelling, stiffness, even a burning sensation in the knees, feet, and legs. It's a reaction that often feels like arthritis or nerve pain, but the root cause might just be hiding in your kitchen. You might not think twice about dicing a few tomatoes into your eggs, but if you've been feeling unexplained tightness in your knees, heaviness in your legs, or soreness in your feet, especially after breakfast or when waking up, it might be worth taking a closer look. Some older adults even believe that eggs with veggies make for the perfect high-protein, heart-healthy meal. And while that's true for many, for those sensitive to nightshades, it becomes the perfect storm. In a body already fighting age-related inflammation, this combo can tip the balance, leading to chronic discomfort that feels sudden but has quietly built over the years. So if you've been eating clean and healthy, yet still find yourself battling joint pain or stiffness, don't overlook the vegetables on your plate, because sometimes what looks like health hides a source of harm. But nightshades aren't the only quiet culprits on your breakfast table. Sometimes it's that tiny touch of sweetness, your morning jelly, a drizzle of ketchup, or even a glass of juice that does far more damage than you'd expect. Let's take a closer look. 5. Sugar jam, jelly ketchup, or sweetened drinks. There's something comforting, even nostalgic, about a little sweetness in the morning. A spoonful of jam on toast, a dab of ketchup on your eggs, or a glass of orange juice to wash it all down. After a lifetime of hard work, these small indulgences can feel like well-earned rewards. But as we age, even these innocent pleasures can come with a hidden cost. Our tolerance for sugar declines over time. The pancreas doesn't respond as efficiently. Insulin resistance rises, and what once was just a treat becomes a powerful trigger for inflammation and nerve pain. When sugar enters the bloodstream, it creates sudden spikes in glucose and insulin. These shifts inflame soft tissues, especially around the joints and blood vessels. Over time, this damage accumulates through a process called glycation, where sugar molecules bind to proteins in the body, stiffening tissues, narrowing blood flow, and making movement harder. You might not think a teaspoon of jelly could be behind the burning in your calves or the tightness in your knees, but your body knows, and it remembers. For seniors, especially those living with diabetes, prediabetes, or poor circulation, sugar isn't just sweet. It's silently aggressive. It slows healing, weakens your immune response, and turns everyday soreness into something more lasting. What starts as a little discomfort can grow into chronic pain. Mobility declines. Independence fades, one slow step at a time. And perhaps the most unsettling part is that it all begins with something so familiar, so normal, so trusted. But sugar isn't the only quiet threat hiding on your plate. Some of the most damaging effects may not come from what you add, but from what you cook with. Yes, even that healthy butter substitute might be doing more harm than good. Let's talk about that next. 6. Margarine or artificial butter substitutes. For decades, we were told that margarine was the smarter, healthier alternative to butter. It was modern, heart-friendly, and backed by experts at the time. Many older adults made the switch with the best intentions, believing they were protecting their health. But now science tells a different story. Margarine and artificial butter substitutes, especially those made with hydrogenated oils, are far from harmless. In fact, they may be some of the most damaging ingredients hiding in your kitchen. As we age, our cells become more fragile, our joints less forgiving. The type of fat we eat matters more than ever. And sadly, the fats in margarine, known as trans fats, have been shown to trigger inflammation, stiffen arteries, and block the absorption of vital nutrients. When margarine is heated, spread on toast, or used to fry eggs, it produces compounds that break down collagen in your joints and restrict blood flow to the legs. The result? Numbness in the feet, aching in the calves, a heaviness in the knees. For some, it's the strange cramping that shows up after breakfast and lingers through the day. And yet, many blame it on aging, unaware that the real culprit may be sizzling in their skillet each morning. What makes it even harder is that the damage doesn't show up right away. It builds slowly, quietly, day after day. By the time you feel the pain, the habit is already ingrained. And unlike cholesterol, which can be measured and tracked, inflammation works silently. Until one day, it takes away the simple joy of walking freely, climbing stairs, or moving without fear of pain or fatigue. But here's the good news. Now that you know better, you can do better. You don't have to give up eggs. You don't have to abandon your morning ritual. You just need to make a few small, smarter swaps so that the foods meant to comfort you no longer harm you. So let's bring it all together. What can you choose instead? How can you enjoy the warmth of breakfast without inviting inflammation to the table? Let's explore the safer, stronger, and more nourishing ways to eat so that you can stay steady, independent, and free. 7. Why these combinations are dangerous for seniors. As we grow older, we begin to realize that not all harm announces itself loudly. Some of the most damaging things, especially when it comes to our health, build up quietly, day after day, masked by routine. The foods we've trusted for years, like eggs with bacon, toast, cheese, or a little jam, feel comforting, familiar. But for an aging body, those very combinations can open the door to deep, persistent damage. The danger isn't just in each ingredient, it's in how they interact inside a body that has changed with time. As metabolism slows and digestion becomes more sensitive, our ability to process sugar, fats, and additives weakens. What was once just a heavy breakfast in your 40s can become the spark that triggers pain, swelling, and fatigue in your 70s. These meals, especially when eaten together, create a chain reaction. Blood sugar spikes, uric acid rises, inflammation spreads. And the joints, already worn with time, bear the brunt. The stiffness you feel getting out of bed, the aching in your knees, the tingling in your feet, it may seem like a mystery, but your body remembers. And often, it's your breakfast that's to blame. Here's the part most people miss. They don't connect the pain with what's on their plate. They chalk it up to aging, genetics, or bad luck, never suspecting that each forkful is shaping how they'll feel tomorrow. But the good news? You have more control than you think. You don't need to give up eggs or the joy of a warm, satisfying breakfast. You simply need to know what not to pair them with. And from there, you begin to shift from silent damage to daily healing. One bite, one choice, one better morning at a time. 8. What should seniors eat with eggs instead? There's something timeless about eggs. They're simple, nourishing, and familiar, a comforting constant in a world that changes too fast. For seniors, eggs can still be one of the most valuable foods on the plate. They're rich in protein, gentle on digestion, and full of nutrients that support brain health, energy, and strong muscles. But to make eggs truly work for you in your later years, it's not just about how you cook them. It's about what you choose to eat with them. The right combinations can ease joint pain, reduce inflammation, and support the kind of steady, confident movement that lets you keep doing the things you love. So instead of pairing eggs with bacon, sausage, or a slice of white toast, try surrounding them with foods that help your body heal. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, or arugula, lightly sautéed in olive oil, bring natural anti-inflammatory benefits and are gentle on aging digestion. A few slices of avocado add creaminess and heart-healthy fats, without the risks that come with processed cheese. And if you want a bit of carbs on the side, go for sweet potatoes or quinoa. Both offer long-lasting energy without spiking your blood sugar. Even how you cook your eggs matters. Steamed, poached, or lightly pan-fried in olive or coconut oil are better options. Avoid frying them in margarine or topping them with salt-heavy condiments. Keep your meals as close to nature as possible, whole, balanced, and real. These aren't sacrifices. They're small, quiet upgrades, shifts that protect the life you've worked so hard to build. Your joints, your balance, your freedom, they're worth far more than a slice of bacon or a sugary breakfast bun. Because food has power, not just to harm, but to heal. And when you start your day with the right choices, you're not just eating, you're choosing a better tomorrow. One with fewer aches and more strength to live the life you love. Your plate holds more power than you think. At this stage in life, every decision we make, every step, every breath, every bite, matters more than it ever did before. And yet, it's often the smallest choices, like what we put on our plate in the morning, that carry the greatest weight. Food is not just fuel, it's a messenger. It speaks to your body in ways words never could. It can whisper healing, or it can shout inflammation. And for many of us, the meals we've grown to love, eggs with bacon, toast, cheese, sweet jams, may be quietly sending messages of pain and stiffness to our joints, our legs, to the very parts of us that carry us through life. I've lived long enough to know that comfort can be deceiving. I once believed that if something tasted familiar, it had to be safe. But experience has taught me otherwise. What comforts the tongue can sometimes betray the body. As someone who's walked this long road of aging, I've come to see food as a conversation between the past and the future. Each meal reflects where I've been, but also shapes where I'm going. And I've learned that wiser choices at the table can mean fewer pills on the nightstand and fewer mornings spent wondering why everything hurts. So if you've been living with unexplained joint pain, swelling, or that nagging heaviness in your legs, I invite you to look again. Not with fear, but with care. Eggs can still be your friend. You don't need to give up what you love, you just need to choose their company wisely. Your body is always listening, always responding, and it's never too late to rewrite the story. Let your food work for you, not against you. Let breakfast become a quiet act of self-respect, a message to your knees, your hips, your feet, that you're still choosing life, mobility, and freedom. Because even at 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your plate still holds power. And so do you. If this message speaks to you, I'd love to know. Share one thing you plan to change. Or simply type, "I'm with you" in the comments so we can walk this road together. And if this video helped, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.